Madam President, I arise to speak about H-1B visas, often called the high-skilled immigration visa. Every year, the U.S. government issues 85,000 new H-1B visas, including 20,000 for workers with advanced degrees. This is in addition to hundreds of thousands of foreign workers already in the U.S. on H-1B visas. Beginning on April 1st, employers can submit petitions for new H-1B visas. Every year, within a few days, the government announces it's received many more petitions for visas than the number of visas available. The government then conducts a random lottery to decide which employers will receive the visas. Every year, this leads to a hue and cry from our business community about the need to increase the annual cap for H-1B visas. Like clockwork, this process played out last week, just as it does every year. Let's take a look at what happened. When most people think of H-1B visas, they think of big tech companies, Microsoft, Google, Apple, hiring top-notch computer engineers, paying them top dollars to come in from overseas. But here's the reality. In fact, the top recipients of H-1B visas are foreign companies that use loopholes in the law to displace qualified American workers and send American jobs offshore. In 2013, outsourcing firms received more than 50% of the annual H-1B visa cap. Think about that. Over half of these H-1B visas designed to bring skilled foreign workers in the United States, over half of them are being given to foreign companies. Sounds wrong, doesn't it? In 2014, 15 of the top 20 H-1B employers used the H-1B visa primarily to offshore American jobs. That is, to take Americans, put them out of work, and have foreign workers take their jobs. These 15 firms gobbled up over 190,000 new H-1B visas over 10 years. Here's how it works. Foreign outsourcing companies import thousands of foreign guest workers using H-1B visas. These companies then cut deals with American companies to outsource American jobs, to move them offshore. The U.S. are to keep them in the United States with these foreign workers. The U.S. company gives their American workers notice that they'll be fired. But before the American workers are laid off, listen to this, the American workers are forced to train the foreign guest workers who are going to take over their jobs. After they are trained, the outsourcing company returns the foreign workers to their home country, where, guess what? They compete with the United States. Most of these foreign outsourcing companies are from India, Infosys, Tata, Wipro. You may not recognize those names, but they are making billions of dollars using the H-1B visa to outsource American jobs and displace American workers. A high-ranking Indian government official even called the H-1B visa the outsourcing visa. So the International Herald Tribune investigated these Indian companies, and here's what they concluded, and I quote, "Rather than building a thriving community of experts and innovators in the United States, the Indian firms seek to funnel work and expertise away from the country." Now, Congress intended the H-1B program to allow an employer to hire a skilled foreign worker in a specialized occupation when the American employer couldn't find an American worker with those skills and abilities. We didn't create this program for foreign outsourcing firms to exploit the program and to bring foreign workers to our country to be trained and talented American workers see their jobs shipped away. So let's take an example. In the last year alone, media reports have documented the replacement of hundreds of American workers by these foreign outsourcing companies. Let me give you an example close to home. Abbott Labs of Illinois, headquartered near Chicago, signed a contract for information technology services with Wipro, one of the largest foreign outsourcing companies based in India and one of the top users of the H-1B visa program. Here's how it worked. Approximately 150 United States employees at Abbott Labs in Illinois are going to lose their jobs. The workers who are being laid off have stellar experience. Many of them have been at Abbott for years. They have the credentials, the performance reviews, and some have really amazing work records for decades at Abbott Labs. I know from recent conversations with Abbott Labs employees that this layoff has taken its toll on the morale of their remaining workforce. So when I heard about these plans, I wrote to Miles White, the CEO of Abbott Labs. I urged him to reconsider this plan and to keep his American workers, who've really worked so hard for Abbott Labs for years. Well, I'm sorry to report that he responded to my letter and confirmed his company's plans to terminate these American workers. I'm very concerned about Abbott Labs because they've required the employees who are losing their jobs and being laid off to sign away their right to sue or even disparage the company if they want to receive any severance pay. As a result of this agreement, Congress and the American people are unable to hear directly from the employees who are affected by this decision at Abbott Labs. Employees who are losing their jobs to Wipro, an Indian company that specializes in outsourcing American jobs. Abbott employees have told my staff they were concerned that even if they spoke with our office about what was happening at Abbott Labs, they could be sued. Other companies that have signed contracts with foreign outsourcing companies to replace American workers have also forced their employees to sign these non-disparagement agreements. So we're in the dark about the human impact of these outsourcing arrangements on the Americans who are losing their jobs. What we know is this: 150 skilled and experienced American workers will lose their jobs, have to sign an agreement that they will not say anything negative about their current employer, and get this, train the people who are going to take their places. If they don't comply with that, they don't get their severance pay. I sent a follow-up letter to Mr. White today about the gag order he's forced on his employees. We should be able to hear firsthand from these workers who are losing their jobs because of outsourcing just exactly what's happening to them. Senator Chuck Grassley and I first introduced bipartisan legislation to reform the H-1B visa program in 2007, almost a decade ago. Our bill would end these abuses and protect American and foreign workers from exploitation. The outsourcing companies are worried about our legislation. For a long time, Chuck Grassley and Dick Durbin were on the front page of a lot of Indian newspapers. Listen to the corporate jargon that Wipro uses to talk about our bill. Quote, "With the growth of offshore outsourcing receiving increasing political and media attention, there have been concerted efforts to enact new legislation to restrict offshore outsourcing. This may adversely impact our ability," says Wipro, "to do business in these jurisdictions and could adversely affect our revenues and operating profitability." So let me be clear. My first obligation as a U.S. Senator is to protect American workers. If that adversely affects the profits of a foreign company that specializes in outsourcing American jobs, so be it. In 2013, I joined the Gang of 8, Democrats and Republicans. We put together a comprehensive immigration reform bill. The corporate interests fought so hard to protect these H-1B visas, but we successfully included in the bill several important changes to the program. Let me give you an example. Under current law, employers are permitted to pay H-1B visa holders substandard wages, which creates an incentive to fire Americans and hire foreign workers. The vice president of Tata out of India, one of the leading foreign outsourcing firms, candidly acknowledged that they use H-1B visas to undercut American workers. Here's what he said: "Our wage per employee is 20 to 25% less than U.S. wages for a similar employee. The issue is that of getting workers in the U.S. on wages far lower than local wages." He was pretty candid about it. The object is to put Americans out of work and to charge less than what the Americans are being paid. So I wrote a provision in the 2013 Comprehensive Immigration Reform Bill that discouraged employers from hiring foreign workers as a source of cheap labor by doubling the minimum wage of H-1B employees. and employers of large numbers of H-1B visa holders would have been required to pay at a minimum the average wage paid to an American. That's why the chief executive of Tata in India said our bill would have been, quote, very tough on outsourcing companies. So be it. The Senate passed that bill on this floor 68-32. Unfortunately, the Republican leadership in the House of Representatives refused to even call the bill. They wouldn't debate it or call it for a vote. Now the two leading Republican presidential candidates, Donald Trump and the junior senator from Texas, have jumped on the bandwagon. They want to reform the H-1B program. But unfortunately, their track records call into question their real commitment. Mr. Trump owns companies that have sought to import at least 1,000 temporary guest workers while turning away hundreds of American workers. And in 2013, when the Judiciary Committee considered the Comprehensive Immigration Reform Bill, Senator Cruz of Texas offered an amendment to increase the annual cap for H-1B visas to 325,000 per year, almost 4 times the current number. Nonetheless, if they've changed their mind out on the campaign trail, we welcome that change of heart and welcome them to this debate. We must reform the H-1B visa program and fix other parts of our broken immigration system to protect American and immigrant workers. The solution is still comprehensive immigration reform. The time for action is now. Congress has avoided its responsibility for far too long. Madam President, I yield the floor and suggest the absence of quorum.